traveler, shadows fall, secrets stir in you, dear traveler, who found the dark hour diaries. The scarecrows serve you, and the visitors, well, they stay forever.
You ever notice how every country has one month where ghosts decide it's their time to shine? In Japan, that's August. Welcome to Ghost Month, where even your grandma's closet could be haunted. Let me tell you about a night I'll never forget. A quiet rural road in Japan at dusk, soft golden light, cicadas chirping, subtle ominous tone that I was visiting my relatives in Yamagata last summer during Obon. Small town, rice paddies, and a lot of silence. The kind of silence where even your thoughts echo. That night, my uncle asked me to help light the chochin, those traditional lanterns people put out to guide ancestral spirits home. I wasn't really into the whole spirits walking among us thing, but the warm air and family vibe made it feel like a harmless tradition, until it wasn't.
A narrow path between rice paddies under a full moon. A single girl in a yukata walking away, carrying a lantern. That I was walking back from the shrine, heading through a shortcut path lined with low trees and high weeds. That's when I saw her. A girl maybe 12 or 13 walking alone with a paper lantern. She wore a pale blue yukata, long black hair brushing her shoulders. That I figured she was part of someone's family event, maybe heading back from the cemetery. I said, "Hey, are you okay?" She didn't turn around.
In rural Nagano, Takashi worked late shifts. One night, he boarded the last train home during Obon. But there was something wrong. No announcements. No conductor. Just silence. He looked out the window, but it was pitch black. He finally stood to ask someone, only to realize he was completely alone. When he tried to get off, the train had no doors anymore. He passed out from exhaustion. When he woke up, it was daylight, and he was back at the same station he started from, like nothing ever happened, but his watch had stopped. Exactly 7 hours had passed. During Obon, rumors always resurface about Kukusekana, the slit-mouthed woman. Ayaka didn't believe them until she walked through Gyeong one humid night. A masked woman approached and asked, "Am I pretty?" Thinking it was a street performer, Ayaka replied, "Yes." The woman pulled off her mask. Her mouth was split ear to ear. Ayaka ran, but the footsteps behind her never slowed. She only escaped by ducking into a shrine. The next morning, a trail of blood led from the shrine gates to her doorstep. In Aomori, Junpei visited his grandparents for Obon. He wandered into the forest after dusk and saw a boy holding a lantern. The boy never spoke. Just turned and walked. Junpei followed, through winding paths, deeper into the woods. When the candle blew out, the boy vanished. Hours passed. Junpei's phone died. Finally, his uncle found him, crying near an old graveyard that hadn't been used in decades. That night, Junpei dreamed of the boy again, this time, placing a lantern beside his grave.
Close-up of the girl's feet bare, floating slightly above the ground. Grass unmoved beneath her. What struck me wasn't that she didn't respond. Was that I couldn't hear her footsteps. Not even the crinkle of gravel or rustle of fabric. The cicadas, which had been screaming just moments before, had completely stopped. Then her lantern flickered blue. Not orange. Blue. I took a step back. Wide shot of the rice field with fog rolling in. The girl vanishes mid-step, lantern remains floating for a second, then drops. I called out again. "Hey! You shouldn't be walking alone." She turned. Her face wasn't there. Just a blur, like smoke under glass. I blinked and she was gone. No puff of air. No wind. Just gone. But the lantern stayed for a second, floating, before it dropped gently to the ground.
During Obon, it's custom to light incense for the ancestors. May's family was no exception, but this year, her grandmother whispered, "Don't let the incense burn past midnight." May forgot. At 12:03 a.m., she began whispering in an old dialect no one in the house recognized. She clawed at the tatami and tried to pull open the altar. The family called a priest, who arrived at dawn. He only said one thing before leaving: next year, you must pray outside. Mina stayed at a countryside inn during Obon. That night, a soft knock tapped at her shoji door. She opened it. No one. That it happened again, 3 gentle knocks. Then again, annoyed, she whispered, "Stop it." The next knock came with a whisper on the other side. "You heard me last year too." She froze. She had stayed here once before, when she was only 5. Her parents later told her she'd had an imaginary friend that kept knocking at night. During Obon, Hannah left offerings at a roadside shrine for travelers lost in accidents. She forgot to bring incense, so she whispered, "Please forgive me, I'll come back tomorrow." That night, her dreams turned black. She was on a highway with no lights, surrounded by voices. The next morning, the rice had spoiled overnight. The flowers had wilted, and every photo she took that day had a dark smudge in the shape of a face behind her. In Shikoku, a family tradition says each lantern welcomes back one ancestor. When the lanterns are taken down, the spirits return to the other side. Daichi's family set up 5 lanterns, one for each deceased relative, but on the last night of Obon, only 4 remained. The missing one belonged to his older sister, who had died young. That night, they found her childhood shoes at the doorstep, wet from rain that hadn't fallen, and in Daichi's dream, she stood at the gate, saying, "You forgot to say goodbye again." Local shrine bulletin board with old photos and faded missing person posters. Subtle ghostly glow. The next morning, I asked around. Most people just gave me polite shrugs. Then, my aunt quietly pulled out an old photo from a shrine box. The same girl. Same yukata. Same lantern. She disappeared 20 years ago during Obon. Went out to light the lanterns and never came home. They say she still walks the paths, trying to find her way back to her family. Nighttime montage, locals lighting lanterns, river floating lanterns ceremony, subtle faces in the shadows. The worst part, that night, I had set down one of the family lanterns by mistake, too far from the house. The next morning, it wasn't there, but my shoes? Wet. Muddy. Like someone had borrowed them and walked into the rice fields while I slept. Ghost stories in Japan aren't always about screams or curses. Sometimes, they're just someone trying to come home. Fade to black with soft glowing lanterns floating on a river. One flickers blue. Do you believe in ghosts? Or did I just let my imagination run wild under the summer heat? If you've had a ghostly encounter in Japan, or anywhere else, drop it in the comments. And if you're lighting lanterns this Obon, make sure to bring them all home. Subscribe to hear more real ghost stories every week. You never know when you might be next.
Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.